Taking not one, but two prestigious honors at her high school. A Mississippi teenager traded her homecoming crown for a football helmet. Then she kicked the game-winning extra point at the big game. Senior Kaylee Foster is the place kicker for the Ocean Spring High School football team. She's been kicking competitively since the 7th grade. Before the annual game, she was named homecoming queen. During the game, she kicked 2 field goals and an extra point for an overtime win. She made 11 extra points and 3 field goals this year. When she graduates, she's going to go play soccer at college. That's quite a weekend.
Yeah, it's quite a weekend. A couple
weekend.
Pages in the yearbook.
Absolutely. All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. See you back here tomorrow. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, the man accused of shooting his stepchildren with Nerf guns that had needles attached is in court. We'll have the latest on his charges.
People in Sauk County are having their homes assessed after damaged properties.
And bacteria from floodwater is affecting animals. We'll tell you how to keep your pet safe.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. We are learning more about a Portage area stepfather accused of shooting Nerf darts modified with needles attached to them at his young stepchildren.
33-year-old Brian Alexander, who is facing 3 counts of child abuse, was in court today. Our Madeline O'Neill is following the story and joins us live from Columbia County. Maddie?
Susan and Eric, Alexander has been in jail here in Columbia County since Wednesday. Today was his first appearance in front of a judge who set his cash bond. We now have the criminal complaint that show the allegations against him.
You know, we've seen a number of different abuses of children cases throughout the years, but someone shooting darts with needles in it is the first one that we have seen.
For Columbia County Detective Lieutenant Roger Brandner, the details of this case are hard to stomach.
Well, disgust. I mean, these kids were young. To subject them to this type of a torture, I think, is inhumane, and it really pulls at the heartstrings. It's just something that you would not expect to ever investigate.
In its investigations, a sheriff's office deputy and detective spoke with 3 of Brian Alexander's stepchildren, ages 6 to 9. The children report him shooting Nerf gun darts with needles attached at them, according to a criminal complaint. One child showed small red marks.
I don't think this was really a discipline scenario. This was just someone being mean to these kids.
Authorities believe the abuse happened multiple times over the past year in a town of Lewiston home outside Portage, where Alexander lived with a woman and 4 children.
Alexander Costal, on behalf of Brian L. Alexander, who appears via video from the Columbia County Jail.
In Alexander's first court appearance Monday afternoon, the judge made note of Alexander's otherwise fairly clean record.
These are obviously pretty serious allegations in the grand scheme of things, especially for someone who does not have apparently significant contact with the criminal justice system predating this set of circumstance.
Court documents show Alexander originally denied shooting at the children with the needle darts, but eventually admitted to authorities to shooting at the 3 children with needle darts once.
The court's going to impose a $1,000 cash bond with standard felony conditions.
Sheriff's Office investigators are still looking into whether any other adults were involved in or knew about the abuse. They're also working with Juneau County investigators after indications that Alexander may have done something similar there as well. He's due back in court in December. Eric and Susan.
Madeline O'Neill reporting live. Maddie, thanks.
2 Broadhead residents were arrested Friday after Greene County deputies found evidence of meth manufacturing. Greene County deputies and members of the State Line Area Narcotics Team executed a search warrant. It was in the 300 block of Town Center Road in the town of Spring Grove after a lengthy investigation. 23-year-old Jordan Douglas and 29-year-old Christy Sweeney were arrested as a result of that search. In November, a search warrant was executed at the same residence, which resulted in Douglas being arrested after similar evidence was found. Both Douglas and Sweeney are facing multiple charges, including manufacturing meth. Well, let's get a look at your first alert weather. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti in the Weather Center. Couldn't get much better, Gary.
Now, after a dry weekend, more dry weather is expected for the upcoming week. Pretty much what we expected when I left here late last week. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud track. Other than a few clouds near Lake Michigan, pretty much most of the state of Wisconsin enjoying mostly sunny skies. Low temperatures this morning, a little chilly up to the north, 37 in Camp Douglas and 35 in Black River Falls. Those are usually a couple of the colder locations just because of their elevation, but most areas dropped into the 40s with a few places staying in the 50s. Current temperatures, though, are very comfortable. A little cooler near Lake Michigan because of a breeze off the lake there. Milwaukee at 68, even Waukesha's at 66, but Madison's at 71, and farther to the west, temperatures are in the middle 70s. Those dew point temperatures remaining in the 40s to the lower 50s, so that means another pleasant night on the way for tonight. Look for temperatures to drop to about 50 by early tomorrow morning. Look for mostly sunny skies tomorrow. Slightly milder day with a high temperature of 76. That's your first look forecast.
Gary, and that dry weather is helping as the water is receding in Sauk County. People who live there are able now to have their homes assessed if they were damaged by the flooding.
Our Rose Schmidt takes us to one condemned home in Reedsburg that is unsafe to be inside.
At this house here in Reedsburg, the water came up almost to the first floor. You can see where the water line hit this area, and the renter stuff still left in the basement. Emergency management directors came to the house on South Pine Street in Reedsburg Monday morning. The house was sandbagged, but the water went through the sandbags, caving in the foundation. Owner Wayne Balwig rented out the home, and he and his tenant had been told to prepare because the flood would be as bad as 2008.
We knew the basement would fill up, and so we told him get the things upstairs. Unfortunately, he did not hear the last word upstairs. He got them up, and the water came to this far to the floor joists.
Emergency management officials are visiting every house classified as destroyed or having major damage. Most homes in the Reedsburg area have basements, and to be considered major, that means there was at least 8 feet of water. They are also verifying the costs and damage to these homes. Emergency management is gathering this information to put together a statewide application for FEMA. In Reedsburg, I'm Rose Schmidt for WISC News 3.
Once officials with the Federal Emergency Management Agency review the state's application, they would decide whether to make a disaster declaration.
And in Marquette County, the city of Montello says 150 buildings in that city have been affected by the flooding. They say 13 families have been displaced so far. They're estimating nearly $1 million in property damage, as well as over $2 million in crop damage.
Congressman Mark Pocan gave updates today on the possibility of FEMA supporting Wisconsin flood recovery efforts. According to Governor Walker, damage from storms and flooding has caused at least $209 million. Congressman Pocan says that getting federal assistance could be complicated. Governor Walker needs to request a federal disaster declaration, but first, damage assessments need to be completed.
There's a 30-day clock that you have to submit stuff in order to start the process. An extension would have to be asked for if they're still assessing what's happening. I think you'll find this one is where, the delegation will work completely, in a unified way, regardless of partisan affiliation, to make sure we're getting this done.
Pocan says all parties will work together to make sure that deadlines are met.
The estimated cost of flood damage throughout the state is a little over $200 million. About half of that was done to homes, and many of the people stuck paying for the damage to their property don't have flood insurance. Even if you do have flood insurance, that won't cover indirect damage. It only covers building and property damage from the floodwaters. Personal property not included in that. It's also a common misconception that if you don't live in a flood zone, you can't get that insurance. You can get it as long as the flood control plan is in effect. Flood insurance is only available through the federal government. Officials say you should check to see if your home is eligible to get covered because all of the damage from weeks of flooding in our area should be reason enough to at least consider it.
I would recommend everybody check in to see what the potential of flood insurance would be for them because, again, the less likely your area is to have a flood, the lower your premium is going to be.
According to risk management, you are 4 times more likely to experience loss from flood damage than you are from a fire.
For weeks now, officials have been warning people to stay out of floodwaters for fear of bacteria.
And now we're seeing the effects on dogs. Amanda Quintana in our news center with why we're seeing an increase of leptospirosis in our 4-legged friends. Amanda?
Yes, well, the bacteria known as lepto is always present, but it's much more prevalent as we enter the fall. And on top of that, puddles of floodwater are making it easier for the bacteria to survive. So more dogs are coming in contact with it, leading to sickness that could be deadly.
They do go towards the puddles, and yes, they do take little drinks out of them, and I try to discourage that. but they're dogs. You know, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Dog owners like Rick Gunderman know it's hard to keep dogs from getting a little messy. But what many don't realize, besides muddy paws, these puddles of standing floodwater also bring an increase in bacteria called leptospirosis.
In the wet standing water, the bacteria will be able to survive, and so more dogs are likely to come into contact with it.
Dr. Julia Bates says Madison veterinary specialists see about a handful of lepto cases each year, just at their vet. But they've already seen that amount in just the last couple weeks as the high-risk season approaches.
If it's affecting the kidneys, they may start drinking a lot more water and urinating a lot more frequently or much larger amounts. If it's affecting the liver, then you may notice that they become acutely jaundiced, or like the whites of their eyes or their skin becomes very yellow.
If not caught and treated early, the disease could become deadly. So Bates recommends owners get their dog vaccinated, although many don't.
You know, I don't take them camping we go to dog parks, but we don't go hiking off the beaten path or anything like that, so it probably wouldn't occur to me to ask.
Lepto is not on the list of general vaccines, but experts say the bacteria is always present, transmitted through the urine of rodents. The floodwaters are simply making it worse, and hopefully getting owners to watch for the signs.
It's something I'm probably going to email my vet and say, should we look at it now?
Dr. Bates says the lepto vaccine can cause an allergic reaction for some dogs, so owners tend to not want to get it. But with the risk being so high right now, the benefit of the vaccine outweighs risk of an allergic reaction. Although it won't stop your dog from getting sick, it could stop it from becoming deadly. Humans can also get lepto, but we have not seen any cases in Dane County recently.
Amanda Quintana in the newsroom. Amanda, thanks. One lane of East Johnson Street has been reopened in each direction as water levels continue to recede in downtown Madison. City traffic engineers reopened the lanes this morning, but there is still standing water on the road in the other lanes. So drivers are being asked to continue to monitor speed and to be cautious. Crews will be removing the flood-related parking restrictions on Willie Street tomorrow morning.
In other news, Attorney General Brad Schimmel says the State Department of Justice has finally finished testing thousands of unanalyzed sexual assault evidence kits. Schimmel started a project in 2016 to test about 4,000 kits sitting on Wisconsin Police Department and hospital shelves. Schimmel had promised the testing would be complete by the end of 2018.
We have now tested every single kit in Wisconsin. They were all previously unsubmitted, but they were designated for testing, and in less than 3 years, Wisconsin has now completed the testing on every kit we designated.
Now, Democrats, including Josh Kaul, who is challenging Schimmel in November, they've been hammering away at Schimmel for taking years to complete the testing. They say the delays have left dangerous, unidentified criminals on the streets.
The Madison Midtown Police Station has now opened, and officers are settling into their new space and their new duties. The police say the space still needs some finishing touches, but should serve them well. The building also marks a change in the Madison Police Department's districts. The Midtown District took some of the South, West, and Central District's geographic area and responsibilities, and officials say this will help them serve the area's residents better.
One area that they would probably see fairly quickly is more traffic enforcement, team traffic enforcement, because that's going to be one of the priorities for our community policing team here in the Midtown District, because that's the #1 concern of the citizens that live here.
Residents will be impacted most by an increase of community policing support and mental health officers. Still to come tonight at 5, the Packers had a historic comeback at Lambeau Field last night against the Bears.
But quarterback Aaron Rodgers looked like he sustained a knee injury. You may have heard about that injury last night before the big comeback. We'll have an update on what we know now about number 12's condition when we come back. And on Wall Street, the Dow falls almost 60 points, but tech stocks bounce back to snap 4-day losing streaks for both the NASDAQ and the S&P. Both saw gains to start the week, and we'll be right back. In case you missed it, last night the Packers had a pretty big win at Lambeau Field, coming back from a 20-point deficit to beat the Bears.
Boy, what a game. But Aaron Rodgers returned to the game and led the Packers to victory after he went down with what appeared to be a significant knee injury. R.J. Wilson has more on what we know today about Rodgers' injury.
One thing about NFL head coaches, they aren't going to tell you what they know until they have to tell you what they know, and it's the case today. Aaron Rodgers confidently said last night he'd play against the Minnesota Vikings at Lambeau Field this coming Sunday. Today, head coach Mike McCarthy didn't quite go that far. Rodgers already won the Comeback Player of the Year by getting off the cart, coming back in the second half and rallying the Packers from 20 down to beat the Bears 24-23. McCarthy says he knows Rodgers wants to play this week, but
we're still collecting all the information on his specific situation. And, you know, I know Aaron wants to play and is always driven to play, but that's all I have for right now.
Mike, when will that collection process be concluded?
We're working on it. That's all I have for right now. I mean, if the next 4 questions are going to be the same, I mean, just ditto the answer. I mean, really, we are where we are.
McCarthy said there's no guarantee if you play the second half in one game on Sunday that you'll play the game the next Sunday. So get ready for a week of speculation, Twitter rumors, and cloak and dagger investigations. And one of the important questions of the week: will Aaron Rodgers play against the Minnesota Vikings next Sunday at Lambeau Field? We'll know for sure, by noon on Sunday.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe 11:59, but we'll know then.
That was something, though, wasn't it?
It's one of the all-timers.
Unbelievable.
I mean, imagine something that was better.
It's like Willis Reed coming out of the locker room.
Nobody knows who Willis Reed is.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
You know?
That was something, though. Okay. Jay, thank you. And after the game, after that big comeback, wide receiver Randall Cobb, you know, he had a pretty good game, too. He was presented the Sunday Night Football Player of the Game football, and he gave it to someone special. Cobb posting on Instagram a picture of the game ball with his newborn son with a caption, "Baby boy, I brought you a present home." Cobb's winning touchdown catch and run of 75 yards helped the Packers capture the 24-23 win over the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great picture. Gary is out on the weather patio. I do feel bad for some of those Bears fans, Gary. How are you holding up?
Well, number one, I think the Bears played better than I thought they would. Number two, if you think about it, the Bears were just a dropped interception away from not even getting to that point, and the 75-yard touchdown play really, I mean, was a nice pass by Rodgers, but it was a broken play after that. I mean, the Bears just kind of fell down and let Cobb run the rest of the way. So
that is a great analysis.
Multi-talented meteorologist.
Yeah. So.
And Gary, the sun came up today.
Yeah, it did. You know, I'm still worried about the Cubs before I worry about the Bears. I got a long way to go there. But the sun is up, and it will stay shining for quite a while, and also keep our weather dry, which is exactly what we need. First of all, we have not tropical storm, it's now Hurricane Florence with top winds of 140 miles per hour. And the forecast from the National Hurricane Center takes it on a path with near Category 5 strength as it brings it close to the U.S. East Coast. Somewhere, this is around Thursday at 2 p.m., anywhere from South Carolina northward to about Washington, D.C., in the potential path of Florence, but right now North Carolina looks like the highest probability where it may make landfall, and then it will slow down, bringing heavy amounts of rain even inland, even as the winds remain fairly strong near the coast. But the heavy rain and the slow movement of the storm will keep the very heavy rains right along the East Coast. Now, as Florence moves inland, notice where Madison is in relation to it. Out ahead of Florence, a big area of high pressure will form and just kind of sit and block our weather and keeping it nice and quiet around here. So because of that, we're going to indirectly benefit from what happens with Florence along the East Coast. Our weather will stay quiet. The visible cloud track shows high pressure here right now and very little in the way of cloudiness across the state. Live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville shows mostly clear skies. As we check out the WISC Skycam, can't find a cloud on that Skycam either, looking out toward the west, and the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. The boats are out on the lake, but the lake water levels are still very high on Lake Mendota. Almanac for today, high 72, low temperature at 46. A little chilly this morning, but right now we're at 71 degrees with sunny skies, winds out of the west at 3 miles per hour, humidity very low. So there's Florence, and you can see where it is in relation to the U.S. East Coast. And notice the upper level winds. front's kind of guiding it toward the northwest, toward the mid-Atlantic states. But notice how clear the center part of the country is, basically from about Arkansas and Oklahoma northward into the Midwest and almost to the west coast. A large area of high pressure just kind of sitting out ahead of that area of Florence and storminess along the east coast. So our weather is just kind of going on and staying the same. Temperatures are very comfortable here. It's a little warmer to the west, a little cooler to the east of us, but dew point temperatures in the 40s means that we'll have cool nights and pleasant days, at least for the next couple of days. So tonight, mostly clear and comfortable. Low temperature dropping to 50. For tomorrow, look for mostly sunny skies and a mild day with a high temperature of 76 degrees. On future track, skies mostly clear tonight. Low temperatures dropping to around 50 by early tomorrow morning. For tomorrow, look for sunny skies. High temperatures will top out in the middle 70s. Tomorrow night, mostly clear. Low temperatures dropping to the middle 50s. Had to add a few more clouds into the forecast for Wednesday, so we'll call it partly sunny. High temperatures in the upper 70s. 7 to 10 day forecast. Dry weather through the rest of this week, and I've taken the rain out of the forecast on Sunday. Even there, it was just a slight chance of rain. Push that slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm back to Monday. Our best chances of rain will be on Tuesday as a weak cold front moves through, and behind it, temperatures will turn a little more seasonal for the middle part of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic, the view on the Beltline from the DOT camera at Todd Drive, kind of slow in the westbound direction there. Also some delays in the eastbound direction starting around West Broadway and heading back to just to the east of Fish Hatchery Road. As far as travel times are concerned, if you're heading eastbound on the Beltline, looks like if you add that all together, that's it comes out about a 21-minute trip from University Avenue to the interstate. And as far as heading out of Madison, right now about 20 minutes on the eastbound Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate, 17 minutes back on the westbound, and that is your first alert traffic.
All right, thanks, Gary.
Sure.
Thanks, Gary. More to come at 5. Ahead, one of television's most powerful executives has resigned. We'll have the details when we come back. CBS Chairman and CEO Les Moonves has been forced to step down after a new article detailing more allegations of sexual misconduct.
The announcement that the head of CBS was stepping down came Sunday, just hours after the New Yorker published an article detailing 6 more allegations of sexual misconduct, all occurring between the 1980s and early 2000s. Retired television executive Phyllis Golden Gottlieb made one of the allegations. Moonves released a statement saying untrue allegations from decades ago are now being made against me that are not consistent with who I am. I am deeply saddened to be leaving the company.
The family of an unarmed black man killed in his own apartment by a white Dallas police officer is demanding some answers. The officer is free on bond after being charged with manslaughter. Amateur video captured late last week appears to show the moments after Officer Amber Geiger allegedly shot and killed Botham Jean after entering his apartment. Geiger, who has been with the department for 4 years, told them she mistakenly entered Jean's residence after her shift, thinking it was her own. Officer Geiger has already been released after posting bond and is now on paid administrative leave.
Bob Woodward's new book, Fear, paints the Trump administration as chaotic, but the president describes it as a smooth operation. President Trump tweeted this morning, "The Woodward book is a joke, just another assault against me in a barrage of assaults using now disproven, unnamed, and anonymous sources."
The incidents are not anonymous. It gives a date, it gives a time, who participates. Most often the president himself and what he says.
A number of people have come out and said that Woodward never even reached out to corroborate statements that were attributed to them.
Woodward's book hits store shelves tomorrow.
And stay with us. We'll have another check of your forecast when we return.
Tonight on the CBS Evening News, we are in the expected path of Florence as South Carolina orders the entire coast evacuated. The mother of a man fatally shot in his home by a Dallas police officer speaks out, and she made the game-winning kick just after being crowned homecoming queen. Tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Beautiful weather for the foreseeable future for us.
Take a look at these temperatures. Would you find it hard to argue with any of this being beautiful? Upper 60s to the middle 70s. And take a look at this 7 to 10 day forecast. Dry all the way through Sunday. A slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm Monday of next week. Maybe a chance of showers and thunderstorms Tuesday. A little cooler toward the middle of next week, but before then, nice weather.
All right, Gary, thank you. We'll have more updates on News 3 at 6 in 30 minutes.